Hey guys, thank you so much for tuning in to another episode. This is episode 4 now.
Wow.
Yeah, we have a long way to go. Today we're going to be talking about from struggle to success, kind of like our journey with a small business and the challenges that it brings. We're also going to be providing you with 5 tips on what to look for and how to maintain. So let's get to it.
All right. So a big part of being a business owner, I think, is having a mindset, right? And it's not just having the mindset or the motivation or the desire to have money, but having a positive mindset whenever things don't go your way. Right?
Yeah.
Like being a business owner, it's like you control everything, right? From the finances to HR.
In the beginning, you wear a lot of hats.
You have to.
Yeah.
You have to. But when things don't go your way, you don't have like a secure income or anything like that. Like you are the person, you're the only person you can blame.
Yeah.
And you're the only person that you could also look to for motivation. So what is it that you believe, or how important would you say is having a positive mindset when having an entrepreneur journey?
Ooh, I think I'm still struggling with that, to where I have to continuously train myself that kind of like have that expectant mindset. Because before, from my journey of becoming freelance, to starting Revamped with you, before it was just kind of like, oh, okay, a one-person team.
Yeah.
Now we have quite a few people on our team. I would say like four people on our team, and then our clients are depending off of us. I had to retrain my mind to expect to put out fires on a daily basis. And so I think realizing like, hey, be prepared, like every day it's going to be something. And instead of complaining about it, instead of being like, oh, why couldn't we? Okay, use that to get better.
Yeah.
What did we learn here that we can help for late in the future? What did we learn here to avoid this struggle? Or realizing like, you know what? Things happen. We'll try better. But at the same time, it's like, that's just part of the business,
Yeah. How would you say, though, practically, you can have a shift? Like, what are things or steps you can take in order to have a more positive mindset when things happen? I mean, I was going to give you a generic example, but like, how is it that you can keep a positive mindset when like, a client stops working with you, or, you're really hoping to have this work come out and it doesn't happen, or it doesn't come to fruition, or you have this idea of a certain project looking a certain way and it doesn't go the way that you want it to. How is it that in those moments you can have a positive mindset? Do you have to wait a little bit until it's like, okay, process, grieve it, and then you can have a positive mindset? Or do you need to have a positive mindset when it happens?
I think your first instinct is going to be like, crap, like what the heck,
Yeah.
You're allowed to feel that way. Everyone feels that way. But the key is to not stay in that mindset for too long,
Yeah.
because that will quickly pull you down and that will quickly paralyze you. So realizing, you know what, I'm allowed to feel what I'm feeling, and then asking yourself, why do I feel this way?
Yeah.
Realizing, okay, for example, if a client no longer wants to work with you, it's kind of like, okay, did I do everything I could to serve this client well? Did I take all the necessary actions? If you didn't, then it's like, okay, you know what? This was something that I needed to grow from,
Yeah.
and I'm going to be better. If you did everything you could, you can honestly ask yourself, you did everything you could. Then it's like, you know what? Sometimes that's business. People are looking out for their business. What you're providing might not be their best option, and you have to come to terms and acceptance with that. Like, hey, you might not be their match, but that doesn't mean that your value decreases just because they felt like what we had wasn't for their business.
Yeah, I think to summarize what you're saying, at the end of the day, you may not be the best fit for that business, but that doesn't take away the value that you have.
Yeah.
And I think that's important. I think it's important, even in those moments where things don't go your way, that you recenter yourself, you refocus yourself and be like, okay, what happened with this client or what's going on does not determine my value, but it allows you to have a self-reflecting moment to realize, like, what is it that I can improve on?
Mm-hmm.
If there truly is, like, we've had clients ask us for certain things that are completely outside of the scope of what we do. And we tried it, but we realized, like, that's not really
our strong suit. Yeah.
We try to do it. That's what they need more of. So it's kind of like, do we want to restructure our whole business model for one client because we want to extend ourselves more than we can? Or should we just say, hey, that's outside of our expertise and we need to help you get connected with who you need to?
Yeah.
I think short term it hurts, especially when you're building that base, when you're trying to build yourself and establish yourself. Those things really like are detrimental to you. But that's why it's so important to have a perspective and the mentality of just like, hey, just because it doesn't work with this person doesn't mean that it takes away value from you.
Yeah.
I think one example I always give you is like, I think we're like the Lexuses of the industry that we're in, where it's not necessarily a Lamborghini or Ferrari. That's this whole high end thing. We're not there yet, and that's okay. But I don't want to necessarily say that we are some, beat up 1999 Honda Civic.
Yeah.
No offense to anyone who drives a beat up 99 Honda Civic. But I think that we're a Lexus, and it's something that, like, at the end of the day, it gets you from point A to point B, right? What we do with social media, digital marketing, you don't necessarily need it, right? You don't need a car.
Yeah.
You could walk to wherever you need to. It helps when you have a car, but then you have such a wide range of options of cars.
Yeah.
And I believe that we are somewhere in between that luxury, and we are a luxury, and we are, not necessarily that Ferrari or that Lamborghini, but I think we're more than that Honda Civic or the Toyotas.
Yeah.
Now, that positions us in a place where it's like it's harder for us to get certain clients. We're not able to work with just everybody. But that doesn't take away from our value, and I think it's hard to not question your value in those moments when it's just kind of like, man, things aren't going the way I want to.
Yeah.
But I was kind of alluding to with this question is like, how do you have a positive mindset and how do you challenge yourself? So the things, at least for myself, I mean, I'm still trying to figure it out myself. But the ways that I found to be positive in those moments is one, okay, first thing, reground yourself. Are you doing everything you can to help this client out? And you need to be honest. Like, are you? Were you late with giving that proposal? Were you late with getting the services? Were you not communicating well? Were you not delivering what you were supposed to deliver? Were you not able to give truly everything you could? And if you can honestly say you did yes to all of those things and you had a good communication, then it's just not a right fit. After regrounding yourself and feeling like you did everything you could have done, one of two ways. If you didn't, work making it better. And if you did do it, then okay. There's not much more you can do. You're not going to be a good fit for everybody. So you just need to focus on like, okay, me for myself, God, you're closing that door because you're going to open up another one for us.
Yeah. Another challenge I would say is just developing that strategy, right?
Yeah.
So what would you say for a second point? So the first point was positive mindset.
Yeah.
Our second point that we're moving on to now is strategic planning.
Yeah.
As director of operations for Revamped, you strategize a lot for us. I would say you're kind of like that brain behind, kind of like, I always use that you're the skeleton where I'm kind of like the skin layer, make it look pretty or whatever.
Yeah.
But what's a way that you've helped strategize for Revamped that has helped us overcome a lot of these like challenges?
I think what's helped us, I guess, get to the point that we're at right now is two things. Anticipating the needs of what our clients and we will need in the future, and to preparing for those things. I think as far as what we have right now, I always ask myself this question. If someone were to give me $1 million today, would I be able to know what to do with it? And to be honest with you, no. I don't think I'd be able to know. Everyone is like, yeah, I'd invested in this, or I'd invested in that, or I'd do all these things. If it were to come down to it, someone to give you that money, most people would not be able to say they would know what to do with it.
Yeah.
And I think that I'm trying to put us in a position where it's like we would know exactly where we would allocate our money. And I've talked to you about this before, where it's like, look, we need X amount of clients for us to be able to do this. And once we do that, we can delegate this work into that thing. You need to not only have the idea of where you're going, but also have numbers to back up what you need, right? When you have that, you have a better idea of what your purpose is. And it's so much easier than saying like, I want to make X amount of money. That's great. How do you get there?
Yeah.
How do you have money set aside for taxes? How do you have money aside? Like, just because you make more money, you have more responsibility. Who are you going to pay to help you with that stuff? How are you going to be able to do this? Ultimately, we want to get to a point where we can automate all of that we do, where we can take a step back and put people in places as we grow.
Yeah.
And I think the best way to start strategizing that is to truly map out what is it that you need to get to the next level. What is it you need to buy your time back? What do you need to do in order to put people in the places where you're at right now to help you get higher without having to touch so many things?
Yeah. And so you're talking about strategize, like mapping out finance-wise, mapping out just the overall business procedure of getting from point A to point B, and just the whole operations in it as a whole.
Yeah, and being efficient and like, where am I spending my time and how can I cut that? If I'm spending 12 hours doing one task, is there a way that I can make that a 2-hour task?
Yeah. Yeah. We talked about how to have a positive mindset throughout these challenges, the things to think about when strategizing for your business. And then now we can kind of talk about mentorship and networking.
Yeah.
I could say we need to improve a lot on our networking.
Yeah, for sure.
I think we don't do that. It's not what you know, it's who you know.
Yeah.
That's really, really true.
Yeah.
Before I used to be like, no, it's whatever. But a lot of our business has come through word of mouth.
Yeah.
There is nothing more powerful than word of mouth.
Absolutely.
And someone vouching for you. And so placing yourself in places where you can network. And the thing, I think networking has such a negative connotation because a lot of the times people come up to you, it's like, hey, they want to network with like a hidden agenda. And so there's always that like, oh, I want something from you kind of thing.
Okay.
And I think that's something I've always struggled with like, I don't know if I can trust people. They're just kind of like, what do they want? It's always like, what are they wanting from me? Yeah. But I think social media honestly has provided a lot of connections for us. It's like helpful for our business specifically, but also I'm realizing like, hey, it's just good to have a community in general within the same people, the same your industry, like connecting with photographers, videographers, connecting with social media managers, like just to like, talk about the struggles and like.
As far as networking though, I don't think we're as bad as maybe you may think. I do think that we can improve for sure. But I think you are actually way better than me at this, where it's like I would see other videographers or photographers when we first started, and I would just be like, nah, I don't like them. Like, nah, that's the enemy.
Oh my gosh.
But I had to learn because I was new to this industry, right? I didn't understand that, like, and your approach, some other people may still have that approach.
Yeah, some people might.
Still have that, yeah. But you've always had the mindset of, like, nah, there's enough work for everybody, bro. Like, everyone has a style, everyone has this. And through the years, I've noticed, like, it really is. Like, it's better to be familiar with different photographers, different videographers, different editors or designers, because then you're like, oh, when I can't do this project, I can have them help me out.
Yeah,
or we can work together to find a way, and vice versa. Mm-hmm. And so you can both help each other in a way where it's like, it's not a competition per se, but, peers that can help you in these moments. I think it's hard when you're struggling to take it that way, but truly I admire you and your ability to be able to always have seen other photographers, videographers, and never seen them as an enemy, but rather as like potential people, who you admire. And it's just like, hey, they have their own style, they do their own thing. And I commend you for always being confident in like your style, because I'm not the creative. I don't do any of that stuff. I just help you. But you've always been so confident in like the work that you produce. It's just like, well, they like my style or they don't, but that's my style. Yeah. And it's the same thing. There's some people who do black and white, some people who do like old or like rustic style, all that stuff. Everyone has very different styles. You can't really imitate it. But yeah, I think that's very good on your part that when we do network, you do have those contacts. And I'm thankful because we've been able to get to this point because of your networking abilities. I have done more of the mentorship side of things, right? Where I've reached out to like SBDC. I've reached out to other business owners who have been a season or two ahead of us outside of our industry. Multiple people that maybe have more experience than we do. I do talk to them. And what I've realized is in the beginning when I was getting mentorship, I almost had this mentality of just like, all right, like, how are you going to help me fix it? And realize like, they're just there to advise you. It's kind of like a trainer, right? A trainer's not, a personal trainer is going to help you, but they're not going to actually do the push-ups for you. They're not going to see there and just like, watch you, what you eat. There needs to be a discipline on your part, and there needs to be passion and motivation that you need to find within yourself to be able to continue to move forward. Yeah. So they may open up your eyes to like, hey, like as a trainer, should you be eating pizza and hamburgers every day? Should you be working out more than 2 or 3 times a week? These things where you're like, well, this and that. So it's like, they can't do that for you. That's not their job. Their job is to be able to, if they're successful in what they do, it's not to babysit you. Yeah. It's to be able to just show you what it is that you're missing and how you can continue to move on to the next level.
And guide you in that.
Exactly. So when we first started this business, it was just content creation. I wouldn't even say social media. It was just videography and photography. We have developed into something that now has more along the lines of digital marketing. Yeah. And through that, we've had to have a lot of flexibility and be able to adapt to whatever our environment is. What would you say is your biggest takeaway? When do you know when to adapt, and when do you know, like, that's outside of what I can do?
So a big, I guess, siren was, like a big, like an alarm for us was when clients started to be like, yeah, but I need more. It's a combination of things. So it's looking at competitors and kind of like observing, okay, what are they providing that we're not providing? A lot of the times we don't have the manpower to do that. We don't have the manpower to offer these services. But a big thing was you came on to be marketing. I a partner in that with marketing. As we were transitioning that and you were kind of understanding the whole visual part of it, that's when I came to talk to you and be like, hey, we need to provide more marketing value to where how can it be more than just making content look pretty? How does it make sense for a business owner? We started asking ourselves questions like, why would a business owner want to go with us?
Yeah.
What values do we provide? And not in a matter of like comparing to what other like people do, but it's like us as Revamped, how do we stick to our mission, which is to revamp a business, not only visually, but have it perform better. And so how do we get there and how do we do that? So I think learning to grow from that and also adapting, but also realizing like social media changes all the time. So we might start off with social media now, but this can lead into something else.
Yeah.
So this kind of helps wrap up our last point, which is just paying attention to your customer needs.
Yeah.
I feel like that goes hand in hand with providing value for like what value does your business provide? And that's listening to your customers' needs. Finding ways to continue growing, to continue adapting and being flexible to those ways. So I feel like being flexible and listening to your needs, which are the last 2 points, come hand in hand. I think because we've listened to our customers' needs and we've seen the need, so it's like we provide a service, but then we see, oh, there's another need here. Oh, there's another need there. So paying attention to that and really trying to find ways, okay, how can we grow in that? How can we provide that service so our clients don't look for someone else? Yeah. Of course, we've kind of realized, though, if we take too much on of an area that's a little bit off of what we offer, that comes with this consequence, too, because we're still too small to be able to expand in that way. But it's something that, okay, we have in the back of our mind to, okay, let's plan to add that, but not offer it yet.
Yeah, scale it.
You scale it, exactly. Yeah.
You don't want to dedicate your whole business model to something that you don't even do anymore.
Yeah.
Because it sets both you and the client up for disaster.
Yeah. So I think with kind of like what you were saying, yeah, we try it, we do it, but always stick to like, okay, am I biting too much then?
Yeah, and I think communicating that with your client is very important. Like, hey, this is outside the scope of what I do. I'm willing to work out with you. Obviously, I'm not going to charge you what somebody who's an expert in this charges, but understand that your expectation should not be that this is going to be something amazing. And what I mean by that, it's like, it doesn't mean that you deliver something poorly, but I think an example of that is like, we don't necessarily do email marketing. Mm-hmm. We can provide you with a pretty email, but that's not really the strong suit that we have. So understanding like, hey, we can learn this with you, but know that we probably do not have the expertise as someone who dedicates their business to just this one thing. Yeah.
So if it's just email marketing you're looking for, we're probably not the best, but we can help you as kind of like as one of the resources of the many that we can offer. But okay, well, I think overall these 5 points was kind of helped us continue growing and sustaining ourselves through these small business challenges. 1, positive mindset. 2nd is strategic planning. 3rd is networking and just seeking that mentorship. And then the 4th is being adaptable and flexible, along with point number 5, which is listening to your client's needs. And really that's what I feel like as a business owner, that should be the most important thing, where it's like trying to find a solution to that person's pain point or to that business's pain point.
As a business owner, your sole purpose is to be able to provide directly value to a client. And how do you do that? Again, as we talked about today, make sure it's within the scope of what you do. And if you are branching out, make sure it's something that's digestible and you don't scale too.
And how do you just provide that solution for that pain point, continue doing that. And yeah, I think that should be an underlining kind of like theme too for every business. Like for us, we're specifically targeting a pain point for business owners. Yeah. And so continue growing in that, continue finding ways to, become more efficient, be flexible, all while trying to maintain a positive mindset.
in conclusion, we hope that this brought some value to you. We hope that through our struggles and through our success, we're able to kind of just pour into you guys and be able to just share a little bit about how we got to where we are. We're still figuring it out. We're still learning, but we'd love to share with you guys as we go. If there's anything you guys in particular want to know about, drop it in the comments.
Yes,
Send
please
us a DM.
feel free to share if this was relatable, with you particularly, or if it is something that you enjoy listening about or have us talk about. Thank you guys again for taking the time to watch. If you listen up until this point, you already won. And we hope to catch you on the next one. We hear this a lot, and it's really true. It's not who it's, well. What? What you know?
It is not what you know, but who you know.
Yeah, that's what I said earlier, didn't I?
It's not what you do. It's who you know.
Okay.